I love to do that slingshot move. You know, it's kind of a daring move to wait to the last lap.
It's all come down to this to decide the most incredible Daytona 500 in history. Out of turn 2, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They climb into the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall.
Ended up that we got tangled up together and ended up in the fence, 2 tore-up race cars. When I ran off the racetrack, I sure didn't turn back in to wreck him. But when it was over, I was pretty hot. He'd cost me a chance of winning another Daytona 500. And I was hot enough to fight over it, and that's what I did.
Bobby Allison is stopped by his brother to help. There's Bobby Allison's car, number 15.
Whenever Bobby pulled up, it was just like, you know, here you are again, you're sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. It wasn't Bobby just wanting to give his brother a ride back to the garage area.
Bobby came up to, I don't know where he's going to pick him up and get him out of the way or what he's going to do.
Cale's hitting Bobby through the window. And so I ran over there and I grabbed Cale by the arm and I spun him around. I said, if you want to fight, I'm the cat you need to be fighting with, buddy.
So I figured it was going to be a double teaming, so, so we went at it for a little while, you know.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
I was walking back to the truck because I knew they'd wrecked. Somebody run up to me and said, Junior, they're fighting over here. I said, I don't give a damn if they kill each other.
That was in the heat of the moment, man. And I was mad, and he'd cost me the Daytona 500.
I think that the problem that we ran into at Daytona with Donnie Allison affected us getting out of the box like we needed to and really kind of disrupted the rhythm.
1979 was disaster. You know, when we came back from Daytona, we couldn't get anything going right. We just couldn't get it turned around.
Near the end of the 1980 season, Cale made the decision to end his run with Junior Johnson Racing.
Cale Yarborough, the number 11 car, in one of his final drives for the Junior Johnson team.
Well, as he crawls out of that Chevrolet, he looks like he's tired, Cale.
Well, I sure am, Dad. 500 miles is a long way here, but I just think... I was a little bit burnt out from running all the races, but I could still do it. Well, I did.
There's one thing I'll say about Junior Johnson. Junior does not take having someone leave him lightly.
Well, you know, he does what he wanted to do, and I did what I wanted to do. If you're in racing and time comes for you to separate, you just go your way and let them go their way and go on down the road.
Cale's road led back home to his wife and children.
My girls were sitting out there with some friends of theirs, and I said, well, what are you girls just sitting around here for, doing nothing? I said, won't you ride your bicycles or something? And one of them looked up and said, Daddy said our bicycles are broke. Why hadn't you told me and I'd have fixed them? She said, Daddy, we have told you and told you and told you. And that was it. That's the day that I made up my mind that I'd tell Junior that I was going to go with somebody that ran a limited schedule.
We had a very close relationship with Junior Johnson, and I knew that Cale was making a tremendous amount of money, but I also was really glad that he was going to cut back on his schedule because my children were almost getting ready to get out of high school, and Kelly and those, I think, were already getting ready to, you know, growing up. So I think that he just kind of was getting at the age that he, you know, really appreciated his family more so than the older you get. And I think he made the right decision.
In 8 seasons, Cale won 55 races and 3 championships with Junior Johnson. marked the high point in Cale's 31 years as a driver.
Kids, parents.
With success comes fame. Throughout his life, Cale Yarborough enjoyed the spotlight.
We all must get involved if we expect to help McGruff take a bite out of crime.
He mingled with presidents, TV stars, and musicians. He was even in a movie with me back in 1983 called Stroker Ace.
I did a lot of things. I had a few parts in some movies. I did 2 of the Dukes of Hazzard shows, and that was just a lot of fun. They still run them on television today, so I wouldn't want to do that for a living, but I wouldn't take anything for the opportunity to have done some of that stuff.
After racing for Junior, Cale drove in the number 27 Valvoline car for M.C. Anderson in 1981 and 1982. The final act of Cale's career came in the number 28 Hardee's car. Working with Waddell Wilson, Cale saved some of his best performances for last.
The first time we got together was at Daytona, you know, in '83. When we go to qualify, we wanted to be the car to break 200 mile an hour at Daytona. The first lap was over 200 mile an hour.
The second lap was faster, maybe too fast. Once again, Cale walked away.
Going in field care center, and he's sitting, and the doctor's checking him over, the top of his uniform down. He looked up at me like a whip pup and said, "Well, you done everything right but one thing." I said, "Well, what was that?" He said, "You didn't put the controls in it so I could fly it."
At the 1983 Daytona 500, Cale gave fans an onboard view from inside his winning race car.
Cale Yarborough has just taken you for a ride into first place in the 25th annual Daytona 500.
It was a good one. It was one of those, take the gloves off, Mama, this is going to be a tough one.
White flag is out, last lap. Baker there on the point. He's got to be looking in that rearview mirror. Cale Yarborough has one thing on his mind right now, to take that shot.
Getting by Cale on the last lap would have been just about as hard as trying to hold him off. I look back, it was too late to even try to block.
Here comes Yarborough to the inside, identical to 1979. Baker gives him room, and going into first goes Cale Yarborough. Yarborough's taking the lead. 3 cars side by side fighting at the line. Cale Yarborough does it. What tremendous strategy, Cale, coming down that back straightaway.
Well, I knew what I had to do, Ken, and it's like a checker game, you know, you put yourself in the right spot, you win the game, and that's what happened.
The accolades here in Victor Lane, that's his car owner, Harry Ranier, giving his congratulations.
1 year later, Cale made it back-to-back wins at the Daytona 500. This time, Darrell Waltrip was the victim of the slingshot.
Down to the inside, the move he loves. Here he comes up to the inside. It is Cale Yarborough taking first, and they're coming to the finish line. At the line, it is Cale Yarborough. He's done it again. Thank you, Lord.
Cale had mastered that move. He had gotten to the point where it was like playing chess with a guy that you know he's going to do it, but there wasn't a whole lot you could do about it.
If you don't try to wreck him, you're going to get passed. I don't care who it is.
I practiced it during the race and pretty much perfected it.
The slingshot was Cale's favorite move. The 1984 Firecracker 400 was a rare occasion when it came up short.
They are door to door in the dog leg. They touch, coming to the trial, down to the line.
Coming down the front straight. Here they are, Sam. They will come across the yellow line.
It's Richard Petty by a foot. Petty wins his 200th career NASCAR victory.
I always wished that I had that race to run over again. I think I'd have been a little bit harder to get by than I was.
After 4 decades and 83 wins, Cale drove his final race in 1988. But he wasn't ready to leave the sport altogether.
I was thinking, you know, I wasn't going to drive forever, but I wanted to stay involved in the sport forever. And the only way to do that was to have your own racing team.
For all his success behind the wheel, victories as an owner proved elusive.
Tony Furr asked me on the radio, he said, how's the car? And I said, I'm telling you, it's pretty loose. And Cale came on the radio, which he never did, and he said, doesn't look loose from up here. And I'm thinking, okay, yes, sir. And we came in, no changes. We got tires and went out there and hung on to the thing because that's what he did.
It's going to be John Andretti winning.
Today we came through and got the first win for Cale Yarborough Motorsports, and feels great.
Anytime you win, it's so important. And for Cale, owning the race team and that being his first win as an owner, actually ended up being his only one, it was big.
Now, Jimmy, when you're making history...
Even though he retired from the sport, Cale remains a vital link to NASCAR history.
Please welcome to the stage the other 3-time champion, Cale Yarborough.
I've been a big fan, and that was a huge honor for me to see him that night on stage when I got my 3rd championship. The fun thing I remember is on stage when he pointed out that I just tied him. I hadn't beat his record.
All records are going to be broken and tied. Tied really is all he's done. So, buddy, you got some work to do. You know, you got some work to do.
Looked at me, and I'll never forget that look in his eyes. I mean, he still has that competitive fire. I mean, he was very happy that I had tied him, but he didn't want me to break it.
That doesn't bother me. Listen, to be as blessed as I was to be able to be the first one to win 3 consecutive championships, lasted for 30-some years. If I'd have had to pick somebody to do it, I couldn't have picked a better person than Jimmy Johnson.
What say, buddy? You headed there again, eh? I don't know. We're going to try. We're going to try.
Cale's drive as a racer helped steer him towards becoming a successful businessman.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye. All right. I was blessed in my racing career, and I've been blessed in my business career, so it's just been great.
Cale's a businessman and a farmer. He loves to get out there and work in the fields. He built his own lake at his house. Every time I call him for the past 3 years to do my radio show, what do you think I hear? Well, I just about got that lake done. I got some more stumps out, and Betty Jo said I'm gonna have to be careful now. I'm getting to the deep end. And, you know, he's that kind of guy.
Cale Yarborough was a self-made racing champion whose career was a hell of a lot like his life. Tough, determined, and always entertaining. He'll be remembered as one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time. Cale spent his career scraping for every inch. So today, he can sit back and look at all the miles he's traveled.